All right, let's get started. All right, welcome everyone in person and on Zoom to the October 26th Queen City Toastmasters meeting. I am your Sergeant at Arms, Jamie Richardson, and greetings, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I now call this meeting to order. October 26th, 1881, this very day, the famous OK, or the gunfight at the OK Corral. So Wyatt Earp, Doc Holliday, and the Ike Clanton gang duked it out in Tombstone, and it doesn't actually have any connection to tonight's theme other than I love the movie Tombstone. And so whenever I look for fun facts, I look for ones that resonate with me. So our president today is actually facilitating as Toastmaster. So I'm gonna take over as presiding officer today and introduce some of our guests. And so I will first go, we have one guest in person, Liana. Okay, nice to meet you. If you can just introduce yourself and say what was that motivated you to come to Toastmasters?
So my name's Leanna Carter. I currently work at the district attorney's office in Gastonia. And so I'm really looking to get some more experience as I continue with my career, because I feel like it's a good skill to have. So yeah, that's why I'm here.
Welcome. All right, and then we have one guest on Zoom. Janice, I can't see you, or maybe we have two guests, but Janice, if you can introduce yourself first.
Hello, my name is Janice Gray, and I work on the mission side of Goodwill Industries of the Southern Piedmont. I am a director of client experience and family services there. And I'm just looking to improve my communication skills.
Fantastic, welcome. And do we have one other guest, David? Yeah, Colin. Maybe you're still trying to connect though. We'll give you 10 seconds and then we'll move on. All right, maybe we'll come back to Colin at the end of the call then. All right, so that's the beginning of our meeting. I would now like to turn it over to our Toastmaster, David.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. It's always nice to have somebody else start off. All right, my theme tonight is called Roses, Thorns, and Buds. Has anybody ever heard of that terminology before? No? Anybody on Zoom? All right, Andrea has. I never heard about it until this past Sunday. I go hiking and camping up the Appalachian Trail and camp overnight. And I always like to go to this one spot called Yellow Mountain. And it's a kind of a community area where it's like 5 acres. There's a privy. If you don't know what a privy is, you probably don't want to know. There's a water source, shelters. And usually there's about 20 campers there. There's 20 different tents, and there's a community campfire, and we all like to share it and talk, and you get to meet people you never met before. On 3 different occasions, I've run into Boy Scout troops. There might be 15, 20 Boy Scouts, and they're all camping out. And it's really nice to get to talk to them because I believe they're future leaders of, our area, wherever they're from, but they're usually from all over. This past Sunday or Saturday, I met another Boy Scout group from Hickory. And when you think of Boy Scouts, you probably think of the patches they have, like building campfires. But truth be told, I am the best campfire builder there is. And the 3 times that I've met Boy Scouts, they've always used my campfire because I just know how to build them. I've been doing it for a while. But we're sitting around talking, having a good time. I'm learning about them. And the following morning, Sunday, they did a little sermon just for their own group. There's like 18 or 19 of them. And a little boy is like 13 years old. He got up and did like a 5-minute sermon. And I wasn't really listening to what he said. I was just watching him as a Toastmaster, because here's a little 13-year-old kid in front of 19 of his peers out in the middle of the woods doing a sermon. I was like, yay for him. But after that, they did a thing called Rose, Thorn, Bud. And what it is rose is what you appreciate. It's what you, it's just what you appreciate in life. For instance, a lot of them said, my rose was hiking to the top of Hump Mountain and seeing the views and being with all of you. So that was what they appreciated, and that's what they liked. Their thorn, some of them were, I wish I took more water. I wish I was in better shape. It's what we need improvement on. And then bud is like the bud of a flower. You're waiting for it to bloom, and it's your expectation down the future. And their blooms, most of them said the same thing. I look to do more adventures with all of you in the future and be a part of this scout group. And as soon as I heard him say that, I was like, I'm going to use that Tuesday night at Toastmasters. It sounds like a great activity to do. And for me, my rose is Toastmasters. It's something I never realized I would enjoy, but I enjoy seeing new members and guests come in and just work their progression through Toastmasters and just see how they, sorry, just got distracted there, how they progress through interruptions and stuff. But this is a place to come and practice. This is the place to have your challenges. My thorn was, I wish that I started Toastmasters earlier. I heard about Toastmasters 35 years ago when I was listening to a Zig Ziglar tape program in my car. Most of you don't even know what a tape player is in your car. They don't even have CD players anymore. But he talked about, and I believe Zig Ziglar was the champion Toastmaster speech contest that time. And he said, if you want to become a great public speaker, a leader, a confident person, join Toastmasters. And I was like, I'm going to do that. And then 35 years later, I did that. So that is my thorn. I wish I started earlier, but I didn't. So we're here, so we don't have any regrets. And my bud is what I'm looking forward to in the future. When I started Toastmasters as a guest and as a new member, I sat there and I was like, I will never be president. I will never be Toastmaster. I will never do contest or be an area director. And those are all things that I've done or am doing. I wonder where I'll be a year from now. And that's going to be my bud. So throughout the night, I'm going to ask different people what their roses, thorns, and buds are. And we're going to go ahead and start the meeting with getting to our joke/inspirational speaker, one of our newer members, Eric. Eric, are you ready to give us a little inspiration?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I have a question for the group. What is one of the most important goals we all strive for in life? Maybe this is one of our roses. Does anybody want to answer that question?
Anybody here? All right, Jenny's going to answer you real quick.
Do I stay here or go? I would say one of the things that's a commonality between most people is just achieving a state of peace. I think as we think about, achieving success and feeling just happiness and joy, one of the emotions that I always think of is this sense of peace. Like you're just like a sense of relief. And so for me, that's a rose.
That is a great answer and a great segue because you said the buzzword, which is happiness. And I want to talk for just a couple of minutes on happiness. Specifically, studies have shown that there are two important elements that increase the level of happiness in our lives. And the good news is that these are available to anyone, and it's a choice. You can choose to have these in your life. And I'll give you a hint by telling you what those two things are not, because they're not the typical things people think about, like education or IQ or jobs or careers or vacations or another nice car or the latest iPhone. The first of those two is living in the moment. In other words, not thinking about the past or worrying about the future. And did you know that almost 50% of our time is spent thinking about doing something other than what we're doing in the moment? In other words, we might be in one place physically, but we might be in a totally different place emotionally. And so being in the moment is a very important skill for us to develop on our pathway to happiness. The second of those two is strengthening our relationships with people in our lives. And this comes from a fascinating study, which is an ongoing study that's been carried out over the past 80 years at Harvard, and it's called the Study of Adult Development. And that study continues to show that our happiness is correlated with our positive relationships with people around us. And that's important throughout different stages of our lives. Raise your hand if you've heard of John Lennon. Everybody or almost everybody. And I'm going to use John Lennon as a great example. As many of you know, John Lennon was a member of the Beatles together with his bandmates and on his own. They wrote some of the best music that we've had or known throughout our lifetimes. And just an example are the songs Imagine give peace a chance, and all you need is love. And John was a very deep thinker, and he tells the following story about happiness. It goes like this. John states that when he was 5 years old, his mother told him that happiness was the key to life. When he was in school several years later, he was given an assignment, which was to write about what he wanted to be when he grew up. And John wrote about happiness, that when he grew up, he wanted to be happy. To quote John Lennon, he said, "I wrote down happy. They told me I didn't understand the assignment, and I told them they didn't understand life." So my inspirational message is that happiness is something we should all focus on, and we have the power within us to strengthen our own relationships with people we love and care about, and also to be focused and in the moment when we're with those people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster Eric. Appreciate it. And let me see, before we get to the roles, I see that we have a guest on here, Duncan, Calvin Duncan. Calvin, did you hear or do you know the rose, thorn, bud meme about what it means? And you're on mute.
Oh, I saw your website. I don't know what it means.
Okay, we'll come back to it at the what do you call it? Table topics, and ask you a few questions. Calvin, I had mentioned that I was in a speech contest. Calvin beat me last year in November, so that's why I recognize his face. It's like, oh, it's the guy that was so much better than me. So he's very entertaining. I hope to hear from him tonight. Sean is going to be our grammarian. Do you want to come up and tell us about your rose, thorn, bud, if you can? If not, just tell us about your grammarian role.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. I am Sean, and I'm your grammarian tonight. And I'm trying to, I know David was trying to give me a heads up on trying to come up with a story. I always have to mention, I always struggle with this impromptu speech and trying to be perfect. But let me just pause for a second and think about it. I would say Thorn, she was, rose represents success, right? I would say, actually graduating from college and trying to land a job that I'm actually able to use my the things I study in the undergrad as kind of a success for me. And my next goal is trying to actually gain a wider range of skills that I can be able to deliver more value to the community. That's my next goal. And my challenge is, I mean, I kind of mentioned in my last speech, I always struggle with public speaking, also in combination with the challenge with the second language. And I always try to, sometimes if I run into the words I don't know how to say in English, I was trying to translate from Chinese to English, and that usually you'll see me pausing sometimes. And my potential, which is my, but I guess I mentioned that I do want to be better in public speaking, so I can actually be able to communicate better to a larger group. So I hopefully someday I can be a manager that hopefully I can make a bigger impact. So that's my story. And I forgot my job tonight, which is as your grammarian, you're pretty clear that I'm be watching your filler words such as so, like, and, kind of. And also the other part of the job is also try to recognize the good use of language, which I'm probably not very good at a lot of times. And also at last, I want to introduce the word of the day, try to match the theme of tonight, which is the word is optimistic. David, if you can help me just display that on Zoom. I don't have my login, and I apologize. I didn't come here early enough to display this on the stage here. But you're pretty familiar with this word. By definition, it means hopeful and confident about the future. So, for example, right, I'm always an optimistic guy, and I always see the half glass full. I just don't see a reason why not to, right? Even if you're faced with great challenges, being optimistic, it just helps you program your mind just to think positively. So you get greater energy from there. And actually does change your life, right? Day by day, then it builds up and to ultimately, right, try to actually count towards a great success. And even if you don't reach your goal, just being optimistic, you just, in the process, you just feel a lot happier, right? Just matching what Eric was saying, happiness is choice, being optimistic is also a choice. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm optimistic that you're going to be very good as a Toastmaster. I appreciate it. And next up is going to be our timer, Lynn, and I'm going to ask you to, I'll come over to you so you can show the lights, but also the same question, your rose, your thorn, your bud. I'm assuming your rose is, and it's kind of interesting, your rose is that nice little BMW out there, but I think it's weird because her last name is Green and she drives a black car. If my last name was Green, I'd always drive a green car, but our timer tonight is Lynn. Lynn.
Thank you. And Toastmaster and guests, actually, I'll make my rosebud thorn story about today. The rose is that I made it here to hang out with all of you and practice my public speaking skills. My thorn is that I was late and didn't have enough time to get myself together to explain this role, so give me some grace. And the bud is that I'm optimistic and hopeful that I'll be on time next time I'm come to the meeting. Okay, so my role for today is the timer. I will help our speakers keep track of their time as they're giving the speeches. And then after each speech, I will come up and give a timer's report. To track the speeches, we have red, yellow, and green lights. And I'll put it in the context of an example. For example, if a speaker has to give a speech that's between 5 and 7 minutes, the green light goes on at 5 minutes. The yellow light goes on at 6 and the red goes on at 7, indicating that they're out of time. There's a buffer on either side of those windows. So there's a 30-minute grace period before or after, but that's generally how the timer works. Oh yeah, sorry. Green, yellow, red. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. As Toastmasters, we have to show, not tell. So we always, whether our words or our lights. So it's always good that way. And next up is going to be our ballot counter. I think this is the third time we've had a ballot counter since we've been hybrid again. And one of our new members, Rama, is going to come up and attempt it. No, you can come up and just kind of explain what you're doing. I will help you if you don't know, because I know it's a new rule. You're going to bring up one of the ballots just to show it. Yeah. Do you know what to say or no? Do you know what to say or no? Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. I didn't know.
So I picked hopefully the most easiest here work. And so I'm the ballot counter for today, and I'll be collecting the ballots, and that'll be only on site here. And I'll come around and collect the ballots right after the speeches are done and the table topics are done and the evaluators are done. And I'll count them up and give the award for the best evaluator, the best speaker, and the best table topic speaker.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And then tonight we're going to have a guest speaker. And usually what we do at Toastmasters, at least at Queen City, is we have, it's called Legends of Queen City, where one night we'll have a Toastmaster and like 4 previous speakers that will inspire you and show you their speaking skills. But we have momentum in the club and we want to keep it going. We don't want to stop and not let everybody participate. So between now and the end of the year, we will have guest speakers maybe once a week or every other week. And tonight we're going to have a former member who hopefully will be a future member, and it's Dr. Harvey Tran. And Dr. Tran, you want to come on up and a little speech.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Good evening, fellow Toastmaster and also honorable guests. So first of all, I would like to introduce to you all my beautiful wife, Helen Tran. Also my 2 years old, turning 3 years old daughter, Hannah Tran.
Thank you so much for coming here to support me. As you all can relate, your spouse is the cornerstone to your success. Behind every successful man, there's always a successful woman who's going to beat him on the head to make sure he's on the right path. Now, thank you very much. So as the theme for the day, we were talking about the rose, thorn, and bud. So I'd like to learn more from you guys before I warm up my speech. Can you tell me what of the rose or success in your life?
My rose is graduating my paralegal program recently. Yeah.
Congratulations.
I think my rose would be having the ability to work and live in Singapore.
Great, great. Overseas experience is great. And also great job for moving into the paralegal profession. So moving on to the next part of my presentation. Have you guys heard of Chaz Boswick, the Black Panthers? He did this very beautiful speech and it was recorded on YouTube where he gave all the credit to his mentor. He said that without Denzel Washington, there's no Chaz Boswick and there's no Panthers. Black Panthers, right? Exactly. And also, you guys are familiar with Bill Gates, right? His mentor is actually Warren Buffett. So my story today is about mentorship in the pursuit of happiness. So even though today I'm in a rush, I usually have my lapel, also the pocket square. But I dress completely different from back then where I just wear like a sport jersey. Vince Carter, when he was still at Toronto, Air Canada. So as you can see, this is my custom-made suit. It's nearly $10,000. My pocket watch is over 200 years old, and I made a custom chain, roughly $10,000. And then my Rolex watch. Now, don't shoot the messenger. Listen to the message. Everything that I have today is from my wife and also from my mentor, but I did not start where I am today. As the former CEO of High Performance Healthcare, principal of Integrated Bausa Investing, also an incoming board member of Charlotte Youth Ballet who will perform in the December Nutcracker. So all of that is attributed to my mentor, but I come from a very poor background. I come to this country when I was 11 years old. My father is a high-ranking military officer in the South Vietnam Army. So you have 6 children in the family. I'm the youngest one. So when we come here, I started out in the middle school. I didn't know English. The teacher was so nice to me. I got into all the fight, all the trouble, but they still loved me. And my dad was like, you. Back then, I was not Harvey. I had a Vietnamese name. It was Hung Tran. And as you guys know, in the corporate world, that dog does not hunt. In honor, I was named after a very famous general who fought and conquered the Mongolian Empire. Genghis Khan, Kublai Khan. Did you guys watch that Netflix documentary? What is that called? When they have Kublai Khan, I forgot the name of it, but what is that white guy that went to Mongolia and met up with Kublai Khan? What is that? Marco Polo. Bingo, exactly. So Marco Polo, in that they portray all the glory of Marco Polo, but Vietnam under the Tran dynasty, my ancestor is the only one who put that end to that Mongolian Empire. So my dad is from that same lineage. He was like, Hung, you know, that's my formal name. My legal name now is Harvey. He was like, we want a physician in the family, so you're it. So I followed my dad. I never questioned the why. I only focused on the how. How can I honor my dad? How can I honor my family? How can I do this? So I went to medical school. I hate school. School is so boring to me, but I was good at it because I have photographic memory, just like my daughter. Only need to study once. So I got all the way to Columbia University. But then when I went to residency to work as a physician, I always skip. Any chance that I have to skip, I always skip, and I went home. So after graduated from medical school, I was under a lot of student loan, a lot of debt. I didn't know what to do. I got married to Helen. She took a chance on this loser. And thank you, Helen. I appreciate you putting the faith in me. And then I came out, I did not have a job. I applied to job with regular person. I wish I'm a regular person so I can get a job to support my wife. No one took a chance on me but GNC, and I was selling testosterone booster to men who could not get it up. Exactly. It was such shameful. And I was like, you're a doctor? I was like, you're a doctor? But then throughout that time, I loved writing. So I was writing my blog on investment research, and then I started to build up a large crowd. In that crowd, one person became my first mentor, Mr. James Meyer. He was a former trader at Bear Stearns. He was like, Dr. Tran, you are so smart. You know, but I noticed something wrong about you. You never fought for the wealthy people. You always put them down. You always slam them and fighting for the retail or the everyday investor who have no money. Listen, let me be your mentor. Let me guide you. First thing you need to do is choose your side. Pick a side. So I decided to give the wealthy people a chance, people who dress like me now. Then I started to work with them, and all the money started to come in, and one thing lead to another. I started to start company one after another, get more mentor. And now my aspiration is ultimately within the next 5 to 7 years, made my first $1 billion with a B, and then run for a mayor. Before I'm mayor, I'm already friends with or have one of our board members, Mr. Howard Byrd, who's the lawyer for the former governor of the state of Pennsylvania. So I already got all my ducks lined up in a row. So in summary, if you guys want all that to be all that you can be, get yourself a mentor. If you know want to learn how to approach and get a world-class mentor, talk to me. One of my mentor, and I'll close on this line, he's the former head of European Investment Bank. He know all the prime minister of Europe. And once you get the mentor, you will go to places, no matter what your background is. I don't look like Caucasian. I don't have blonde hair, blue eyes. I mean, initially, I did not drive like supercars and all of that stuff, not a member of country club, but my mentor got me in. And I strongly believe that my mentor can do the same for you. Give yourself a chance. Thank you so much, honorable guest and fellow Toastmaster.
Thank you, Harvey. Appreciate that. Oh, there we go. Thank you. All right. And let me think. I was going to ask a few more of you about your rose, thorn, and bud, but I don't want to steal our table topic master's thunder. And I'll come back to anybody who we don't get, but we have plenty of time tonight with just one speaker to be able to do plenty of table topics. So please welcome our presiding officer, Jamie Richardson. Oh, you can.
Can we get a quick timers report, Lynn, on our speaker, Dr. Tran?
So he spoke for 7 minutes and 33 seconds. So Harvey spoke for, very energetically speaking, thank you, for 7 minutes and 33 seconds.
Very good. Thank you, Lynn. All right, so I will be the facilitator for tonight's table topics portion of our Toastmaster meeting. That means this is an opportunity for our members who haven't perhaps spoken tonight or haven't played a role today, as well as for guests, if they would like to come up and practice impromptu speaking. So I will ask a question, and you'll have 1 minute to 2 minutes to answer, and Lynn will actually keep time for those in person, so you can practice gauging your pace and your response. So do we have any volunteers to start? If not, we'll find some folks who haven't yet raised their hands. All right, Sean, come on up. So Sean, I'll hand you the mic in a second. Your question, not unlike the theme, what is an example of a thorn in your life, an area that you want to improve?
Thank you, Table Topics Master. Hello, guest. And thorn in my life that I would like to improve. I think as we're trying to chase goals in life, sometimes we tend to also look at other shiny, I guess this is called the shiny object syndrome. If people have heard of this before, I think I was rolling onto it. So if you're trying to achieve a goal, you have something specific in mind. What ends up happening is there's another shiny object that comes in your purview where you can either go toward that route or you can stay on your path. Now, this is very dangerous, but it can also be a very good thing as well. So how do you manage that shiny syndrome object. I am still handling that. And that is my thorn, is when I'm trying to chase after a goal, how am I able to stay on track by setting small goals? So I guess I will give you not only my thorn, but my bud, which would be to optimistically have executable small goals, and then I can chase the shiny syndrome. I'm going to turn it back to you, Table Topics Master. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. And I like that you transitioned into bud as well, right? Any of our thorns, presumably we have an aspiration for where we can go with that. All right, I have more questions as the Table Topics Master. Nope, Dr. Tran, other people have to participate. Anyone else in person or on Zoom? Stuart. Yeah, I think Stuart had his hands up too. Just under the camera, I was up. All right, Stuart. Your question, a relatively easy one as well. So can you give an example of a bud, a facet of your life that you are looking forward to?
Hi, Jamie. Thanks for the question. Fellow Toastmasters and our guests, that's actually a very difficult question for me to answer. I feel when I was younger, when you're in high school, when you're in college, there's a very natural progression. Your teachers and mentors encourage you to set goals. You choose a career, you choose a major, you're always working towards something. When I graduated college and began working, I felt like within a few years I had settled into my career and was on a fairly good path. 10 years later, I'm still on that path and it hasn't really changed much. The problem is that I don't really know what's next. I, continue to work hard and I feel like, there are certainly roses and there are certainly thorns, but I don't really know what the blossom is. I'm still trying to figure that out. And so I think in the meantime, I just continue to try to work hard, improve my skills. It's one of the reasons why I'm at Toastmasters, but yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what's next, what's going to be the blossom, what am I really working towards? Thanks for the question.
Good. Thank you, Stuart. As they say, luck favors the prepared. So I certainly understand continuing to work on the skills until that strike of inspiration hits you on what's next. All right, more questions. Anybody in person? Elvis. All right, Toastmaster Elvis, come on up, please. So part of tonight's theme is giving thanks, or at least one of the components of our theme is giving thanks and being thankful. So we're coming up on Thanksgiving. Is that a holiday you celebrate? Or if not, are there other holidays that you give thanks at?
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Thanksgiving, it's a holiday that I celebrate together with all of the other holidays. I come from a Christian family, Christian education pretty much, and we celebrate pretty much all of the Christian and most of the typical holidays in US. But one of the things that we'd like to celebrate, and myself specifically as a family, is Christmas more than Thanksgiving. And from where I'm from, I used to keep that as a part of a family tradition that we did every year that we look forward to, and still to this day is one of the things and one of the dates and celebrations that we cherish the most. There are many memories that we cherish, that we look forward to, many amazing, incredible moments that we also look forward to remember as a family. And it's one of the things that starting from this holiday season, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and everything that goes with it is something that we really value as a family. There's a lot of thorns, there's a lot of buds, and a lot of roses as well. But I would stick with the feeling of those roses that we are cultivating, and also with the feeling of those buds that are those things that we are expecting for this year, and the things that we are planning and looking forward to becoming at the beginning of this year, and well, end of this year and beginning of next. So with that, thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Elvis. All right, we can probably ask one more if we've got anybody maybe online or one of our guests.
Me.
Oh, Connor.
Me.
Awesome. All right, Connor. So your question is a bit of a two-part associated with tonight's theme. So if you can think of a thorn, right, something that you have worked towards in the past, right, something that you wanted to aspire and achieve something, and then did that turn into a rose for you, right? Is that something that on the back end of that journey, right, you look back and have gratitude and thanks for the development and the growth that you've gone through?
It's a good question, Jamie. So a thorn that I currently work on is public speaking, and I have another thorn of a fear of getting mugged in the street from my girlfriend's parents in an alleyway. It's oddly specific, but I've seen it happen before, and it's just not something I want to happen to me. So this is a fear that I've tried to overcome by joining Muay Thai, and by going to this practice every Thursday and Saturday. I'm hoping that that will help me eliminate that fear, increase my confidence, so that if I'm ever put into that certain situation, I'll know how to react and I'll have more freedom. And that's also when it comes to public speaking and Toastmasters, and which is the sole reason why I joined, was that so with the increase of challenges, the increase of facing the fear of public speaking, more times I get to do it, the better I will be at it, and I will have an increase in confidence, and I will be able to do more and have an increase in freedom as well. That's about it. Thank you.
Fantastic. I thought that's one of the things that I took away from the theme, Dave, right? Is that, the prettiest blooms on the rose are usually the ones that also have protection, right? In terms of thorns. So to a certain extent, we have to go through those kinds of pains and tribulations to really reach our full potential. All right, I think that probably concludes our table topics session. So I will now turn it back to our Toastmaster, David.
Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate that. And okay, he's coming around now. Our ballot counter. Here, throw mine in there real quick. Unfortunately, we can't do it on Zoom and in person right at this point, so we're just doing it in person. So if you could vote for your favorite table topic master. And I don't know if, well, we got it in person and on Zoom. Janice, do you feel comfortable sharing with us your thorn, your rose, your bud? Would you like to come off and do that?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. So my rose would be just being here today. I was actually very tired before I got a reminder on my phone that there was going to be a meeting tonight, and I almost went to sleep because I woke up at 4:45 this morning and I was really tired. And I said, no, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to really enjoy it. So my rose is that I'm here and I'm having a great time. My thorn is I actually joined or actually went to one meeting of a Toastmaster several years ago at a local Y that's not too far from me. Only went to one meeting and I didn't go again. So I missed out on all of that opportunity to grow, but I'm here now. And my bud is getting to know all of you wonderful people and seeing how I can communicate better and be my best self.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for stepping up and doing that. Appreciate it. And next up is our general evaluator, Jenny. And Jenny, I'll let you take it over if you want to share. If not, you can.
Thank you, Toastmaster David. So I guess I'll start by sharing my rose, my thorn, and my bud. First of all, I thought it was a great theme. So in terms of my rose, I watched, I don't know if any of you have watched Masterclass, the app. It's all these top people in their game. And so I watched the one with Sarah Blakely yesterday. She's the CEO and inventor of Spanx and just valued her business and sold it for, you know, over $1 billion and started it with $5,000. And she said something at the end of the series that said that her courage comes from gratitude. And so my rose is just my courageous kind of spirit, you know, moving here without a job, without nobody here, just one friend, and just, you know, having that kind of be my anchor and just being courageous. My thorn is probably just managing like normal fears that come into my mind. So just knowing that I have the courage to overcome it through confidence. And then my bud is just mastering my public speaking skill set. At this point in the evening, I'm going to introduce our evaluator. So Andrea, the chocolate butterfly, to evaluate our Dr. Harvey speech. Is she here? Yeah.
I'm online. I'm online. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Thank you for the opportunity to do this wonderful evaluation for a wonderful speaker today. Dr. Chen, the first thing I want to say is I will be using the KISS method, and it's what you should keep, what you can improve, what you should maybe stop, and what you should continue to do. So I'm nervous. Please give me grace. It's the first time I did this. Thank you, Eric. So what I love and you should keep is how you started your speech. You started your speech very well by engaging us and inviting us to in your life by introducing us to your family. And then you even engaged the audience. That I thought was wonderful. And then what you can improve, slow down. You said you were nervous. We heard a little bit of it, but your speech was you were so energetic that I didn't even know you had went 6 minutes and 33 seconds. So 7 minutes and 33 seconds, my apologies. So that was wonderful that you were able to do that without us even paying attention that you had spoken that long. So I'm sure you had much more to say. Your mentioning of Chad Boswick and Warren Buffett resonated with me because Chad Boswick, I actually see him as a mentor of how to go through life without worrying about your thorns and using those to be your buds and your roses to other people. And Warren Buffett, he's just a brilliant mastermind with figures, and I'm an accountant. So that resonated with me. Seeing that you come from such meager beginnings. I like to tell people not to tell kids what to do, but you learned how to pivot from that. It's actually what my book is all about. We tell our kids what we think they should be, but they can become what they dream and what they want to be. And so you are a good example, and I will be using you. So know that I will be using you as an example of finding your passion, finding your dream. And even though you hated school, you did well at school, because like me, you had a photographic memory, and the photographic memory can get you through sometimes when you don't even know what you're talking about. Not today. I know what I'm talking about today. And so I'm very optimistic that we can get through this together. And so what I got from your overall speech and what I think you should keep is to give yourself a chance with the mentor. I would have liked to hear more about how the mentor really, really changed your life. So that is what I would just recommend that you expound on. And with that, I am complete. And I thank you, Toastmasters, for the opportunity to give this evaluation, and keep speaking. And I will be looking forward to hearing you again.
Thanks so much, Andrea. Thank you. And at this point, I'd like to call Madeline for the timers report.
Thank you. So Andrea spoke for 2 minutes and 55 seconds. So I believe that qualifies.
Great, thank you. And then this is the portion while I evaluate the meeting. As I mentioned, I thought the theme was great. What a great kind of filter to look at life with, right? Always being appreciative, looking at life through that lens, like, you know, finding gratitude and all the things that we have the opportunity to do, and then always figuring out what are the things that we can do to improve, and then being optimistic, right? So great word of the day. So I thought that was great. I loved Dr. Harvey's speech, some really good nuggets there around mentorship. And, you know, I just thought it was very well put together. So overall, I thought it was a great theme, good participation from everybody, a lot of fun facts and applicable insights that we can all kind of use in our daily lives. Well structured, and yeah, I thought it was great. So I'm going to ask for the grammarian report now, and then that's the last part. Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. January Evaluator. Here's the grammar report for tonight. As for the filler words, I think most of it is just and I guess I just used one. Lynn, I didn't count any from you. I think you were pretty clear. Rama, you probably had a one Harvey, you did a few at the very beginning, but later on your speech kind of went really energetic and I didn't catch any. Maybe I was just so immersed in your story. And David, you probably had one or two. Jamie, same one or two. Sean, a great table topics speech, and you only had one. Stuart, you probably had 2, 3 Elvis, I didn't catch any. Connor, you had 2, and Janice, you had a few Jenny, you also had a few but it was very conversational. It wasn't like I was trying to be grammar Nazi. So Andrea, as you mentioned, it was your first time and it was a little bit a few at the very beginning, but later on, yeah, it was very great evaluation. And overall, also you for the word of the day, I think I only caught 4 people using it, but there might be more. So David, you use once, and Lynn, you use once, Andrea, you use once, and also Jenny also used one. Just let me know if I forgot anybody. But overall, it's a great meeting, and I didn't write down any good usage of language, but all the good stories that all represent that. Like I was so fascinated with their stories. I almost forgot counting words. So thank you all.
Thank you. Great. Oh, and I did want to mention Eric too. I loved your use of tying in music. I thought was really, I'm like, I don't know if to look there or there, but it's a little confusing in person and doing the Zoom, but I loved your introduction of music. I think we always kind of like, you know, when we think about music, it's like a theme that is like connects just people. And so tying in the theme to that and some really just iconic songs was really nice. So at this point, I thought, again, it was a great meeting and I'd like to turn it back to our Toastmaster, David.
Thank you, Madam General Evaluator. And now we get the fun part where I think we know who some of the winners are, but we'll find out from the ballot counter. you want to come up, Mr. Ballot Counter, and give us your report.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters. I picked a perfect day. I said my job was easy. It was easier. One speaker, one evaluator, and great table topic speakers. So first we'll announce the best speaker. It's not because that he was the only speaker. In spite of that, it's phenomenal. I really loved it. I really loved the way he said the story about mentor. My career changed when I chose a mentor. So Harvey, Dr. Harvey. No, you deserve it. No, you deserve it. That's no question there. So, and the best evaluator, again, not because you're the only one, Andrea, you did a great job. Am I showing it here? Here it is. So, yeah. Right. For the best table topics, like everyone was awesome. We have a three-way tie. So we need two more. First one is Sean. And we'll get. Oh, two Sean. Oh, thank you, Sean. Yeah. Okay, he's gonna get two. I'll probably call out Connor there. So I don't have anything to show you. He'll show you one. Great. All right. Yeah. It's for Connor. Here you have it. I'm showing you the wrong way. This one? Which one? As long as you see it. And the final one is Elvis. Elvis, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, like I said, even Stuart, you were also awesome. It's just three virtuos. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Rama. And then we'd have a special award for two people. Connor is a new member, and also Sean is a new member, and this is our new member award. So I'd like to give this to Sean and Connor when he comes back in person. Appreciate it. Thank you. I had fun tonight as Toastmaster, and I'm going to turn it back over to Jamie, our presiding officer, to close us out. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So thank you all. Great meeting. We usually like to end our meetings with checking back in with our guests now that they've had a chance to sit through one meeting and share any perspectives. So can I start in person? Yana, with your thoughts on the meeting, and did it live up to your expectations? Did it live up to your expectations? And to what extent will you come back?
So I had a very good time tonight. Everybody who spoke was extremely captivating. I loved everybody's speech. It did live up to my expectations. I love how everybody has a role within the meeting, and how they perform each duty. I think it's incredible. And I definitely will be back. I hope to improve my speaking. And I appreciate the learning environment that you guys have created. So thank you.
Thank you, Liana. All right, how about Janice, who we have on Zoom?
Hello, I had a great time. I feel very comfortable here and hearing about the flow of the meeting. I felt like I could follow, and I really liked the fact that everyone had a chance to participate and join in and demonstrate leadership. It was awesome. Thanks for having me.
Great. Thank you, Janice. All right. And then Colin, we see you now. I think you were first joining when we started the meeting, so we didn't get a chance to get an introduction. So maybe you can do a quick intro and then any thoughts you had as well.
Sure. Well, thank you for the opportunity to join. I apologize for the poor lighting. I'm working on it. So hopefully next time you can see my face. Yeah, I thought it was wonderful. Thought just echoing some earlier sentiments, everyone was very confident, captivating, all qualities that I hope to emulate, and looking forward to being able to attend in person at some point soon. I think there's a nice duality to the sort of practice that you can have speaking virtually and also in person, and honing both skill sets. I do see some differences there. So looking forward to being back.
Very good. All right. Welcome, Colin. Thank you. Hope we'll see you again. And I will make a plug, as our president does often, is if you can join us in person, we certainly encourage it. We had a great turnout again today. We've had consistently good turnout for the last 2 months in terms of in person. And speaking from personal experience, I don't think there's any substitution for getting up here and actually doing it in front of folks. Not that we don't want to continue to have active participation on Zoom as well. So, all right, can I now see if we have any officer business? All right, I don't think so. Okay, well then I think that concludes our meeting. I will adjourn and we'll look forward to seeing you soon.